In this final section, I'm just going to review the evidence of why it matters how we construct our multimedia presentations and distance learning. This is kind of just the evidence behind the cognitive theory of multimedia use in cognitive processing. There is quite a lot of evidence out there, and some of the references that I've included at the end of this presentation can direct you to some of these for further reading if you're interested. First of all, why it matters. Post-testing on students who are in control groups and intervention groups where these principles have been applied have shown that there are pretty significant, statistically significant effects on retention and post-testing. The multimedia effect is actually the greatest effect. So this is the one where you're using visual graphic images along with primarily narration or a little bit of redundant text on screen. This has been shown to have effect sizes in the range of 1.5 standard deviations. So if the average test score is 80 and the standard deviation, a single standard deviation is say 10 points, an effect size of 1.5 would mean that the mean score for students who are receiving the multimedia as opposed to a single media presentation, they're going to score an average of 15 points higher. So that's how that effect size would translate out. The coherence principle also has a very large effect size of about 1.32. This is keeping it clean and simple. So if you eliminate extraneous material, unnecessary graphics, illustrations that don't contribute, or things that might otherwise distract your students, they're going to, on average, score 1.32 standard deviations higher than those who are not receiving this principle. So again, that's like, again, if you had a standard deviation of say 10 points and a median score of 80, that's 13 points higher. The personalization principle comes in at about the same effect size of 1.3, so use of a visible author using friendly tones of voice and informal conversation is really going to help students learn, retain, and apply what they've learned. Contiguity, keeping related ideas together on screen and in close proximity is going to have an effect size of 1.11. Segmenting, breaking up into smaller bites, is going to have an effect size of 0.98. The modality principle, which mode you're using, eyes versus ears, is going to have an effect size of 0.97. So that kind of brings us to the strengths of applying the cognitive theory of multimedia use. First of all, it's very practical. It's easy to apply. There's some really clear principles that you can just kind of plug in and analyze your presentations based on these principles. It is evidence-based. There's a lot of evidence showing that this really does work and that it results in better learning outcomes, which is essentially, it has proven efficacy. So I think there's really good reasons to apply this when you are creating multimedia presentations. There are a few limitations to this theory, and that is, of course, that it is focusing on auditory and visual learning. It does not really account for other types of learning, which may include bodily or kinesthetic learning. So that is important to remember in certain classroom situations, that this is predominantly looking at electronic learning, distance learning, in-class learning using multimedia. I hope this presentation has been helpful to you.